Good morning. My name is Don Kirkwood. I live in North Carolina, but I work out of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a literacy coach. My focus is really looking at how do we really think like a scientist, going beyond just the basic knowledge, but going far beyond the text to use some really deep critical thinking. Eventually, the basics of what you're learning here will become parts of research. So we're going to do two activities today. The first activity we're going to do is called a scientific talk. I'm going to give you an envelope, and in the envelope it has 4 quotes using the vocabulary words. You'll have to figure out what the vocabulary word is, and then by the context clues, go ahead and define the word, draw a picture of it, look at related words, and then create a sentence. This kind of gives you an idea as once you go into college, how are these words being used in the field of science. The second activity we're going to do, which is another discourse activity, is called the T-chart. In the T-chart, you're going to really compare light-dependent and light-independent reactions. Similar to the Venn diagram, but you're not comparing and contrasting. You're looking at the differences between the two reactions. So my expectations for today, just to kind of go over them, is to look at, students will be able to use context clues to understand scientific talk and compare light dependent and light independent, okay? So if you're able to look at these quotes and really see how these words are being used in the field of science and being able to define them, you're definitely meeting that expectation. The other one, if you could look at photosynthesis and really looked at the 2 types of light reactions and see the difference between the 2, then you meet that expectation. The question that I want to focus on today, and I'll repeat it several times, is how might we explain the role of products and reactants of photosynthesis and cellular respiration in the cycle of matter and the flow of energy, which was pretty much what you just watched on the video. All right, so how this will work, I'll go ahead and pass these out to each group. You want to help me? Thank you, thank you. You'll have only 3 minutes per set of cards. I'll set the timer. As a group, read each of the quotes. Yes, everyone gets one. So everyone will do their own. I would say try to do it without your textbooks, but if you're just struggling that much, we could use that as a scaffold. It's definitely a good resource. The group yesterday had to use the textbook, so. Just to kind of give you some ideas about what you're about ready to see, I pulled the sentences 3 different ways. Either I pulled them directly out of a research of how someone actually typed up using that vocabulary. Some of it I pulled out of, like what you would learn in your textbook. And then the others, if famous people would talk about it. Like famous people talk about photosynthesis. But you know what? They probably don't talk as much about the Calvin cycle. So some of them were hard to find. But I'll set the timer. As a group, read the cards. Use the context clues within the cards. Come up with your definition and then fill out one of the circles. And then after 3 minutes, I'll just put the cards back in the envelope and we'll go ahead and rotate. We might take a little bit more time. We'll share out on the first one to see if everyone's pretty good with what we're doing. And then after that, it should go pretty fast. Okay. Once you have your card, you could go ahead and get started. All right, begin. Yeah, let's pass out the cards. Sometimes it goes faster that way. You're trying to figure out which is the word. All right. One more clue. The cards have the same, one word in the cards matches all the other different cards. So you got to figure out what the word is first. So it's kind of like an escape room. You got to figure out what the vocabulary word is and then go from there. So what do you think the word is? Sorry. Okay. Is it in all 4 cards?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you would put that, good, you're excellent. You guys are doing great. What do you think the word is?
Calvin cycle.
Okay, Calvin cycle. Calvin cycle. Okay, looks like it. All right. All right, time. All right, go ahead, put the cards into the envelopes. Okay. Let's see, this goes this way, I think. I guess it doesn't matter which way I rotate them. Cards. Yeah, I'll just pass it one to the next.
Don't carousel your cards. Pass them. Yeah, if you've already passed, don't swap again. Pass to the next group over.
All right. 3 minutes. Let's see if you can do it in 3 minutes this time. Begin. Okay, go ahead and put the cards into the envelope. We're going to transition to our next activity. Who hasn't got chart paper yet? This group here? Here you go. You're welcome. Okay. All right. Yes, please. All right. Can you pass every group out a marker besides yellow? There.
No yellow.
No yellow. You can't see it really good. All right. If I could get everyone's attention up here, our next activity for the remaining of the class, we have about 12 minutes, is that we're going to create a T-chart. So on one side, we're going to pretty much define what light dependent is. So go ahead and put light dependent reactions. And then on the other side, go ahead and put light independent reactions. Think about your vocabulary. How does it fall into the two different reactions?
One needs light and the other one doesn't.
Yeah. That's how when I was doing this assignment last night, when I started looking at the difference between the two reactions, it seems like some of your vocabulary fell on one side and some of your vocabulary fell on the other side.
So we're just going to write vocabulary?
Yeah, well, vocabulary, looking at it, like you said one doesn't really require light. Which one's that? So that's what I would put on that side. One doesn't necessarily need light. Then they both produce different things, right? Mm-hmm. So that you can put whatever they produce on each side. Good. So all kinds of places to start. Where should you start? What's the difference between the two?
One's in the stroma, and one's...
Okay, which one's in the stroma?
I think... It's independent.
So you can put that on
In a bullet.
that side. Yeah, you can bullet it.
That's it. That is light dependent absorption.
Maybe you could start with what does light dependent reactions produce or actions? What does it produce? What does this one produce? That's a difference. That's an early bell. All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share some literacy strategies with you. Have a great day.
Post your T-shirts around the room. Books need to be put on the shelf, and my desk needs to be put back where they belong. Y'all have a wonderful day.
All right, so today we're going to do a literacy activity called the Tea Party. Have any of you ever done the Tea Party? Okay, this should be interesting. So you've never been to a tea party? Or just 1 minute you've been to a tea party? Okay. All right, so just a little bit about myself. I joined the military right out of high school, jump out airplanes. I did that for 10 years until someone stole my air and I fell like 100 feet and I hit the ground pretty hard, collapsed both lungs, and I was pretty damaged. After that, the Army put me out. But they gave me a full scholarship to go to college. However, I wasn't really ready to go to college because when I was in school, they put me into special ed when I was in first grade and then just left me there. I couldn't even talk until I was in third grade. I had a disability called Asperger's syndrome. Probably still have it. That's why my jokes are not as funny as everyone else's. But because of that, my mom was very embarrassed of me, and she kicked me out of the house when I was 12 years old. I ended up living 14 different places that year and ended up into foster care. So I wasn't really confident going to college because everyone told me I was stupid and I couldn't learn. And I believed them. I really did. So I never tried. I'd come to class, go to sleep, wake up, and the bell rings to go to the next class. Of course, my favorite class was PE. I was really good at sports. I ran the mile 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Started running back for the football team. I was on the track, set all the high school records. Was on the swim team. I liked doing all those flips up in the air and try to get that perfect entry into the water. So I was really good athletically, but academically, even when they came to scout me to play for college, they said my GPA wasn't high enough. So the Army was pretty much my only opportunity. But as you heard, that kind of ended after 10 years. So I decided to go back to college. And they put me in some remediation classes. So if you don't pass that entry exam, they'll put you like in Math 98 and English 100. I remember that first assignment. I had to write an essay. I was so scared. I did the best I can. I turned it in. I thought the teacher was going to say, "Don, this is not for you." And it was so weird because that day she asked me, "Can you come into my office?" And I went into her office and she told me I wrote a perfect essay. That day changed my life forever. Probably if that day never happened, I wouldn't be here right now. And sometimes the words of encouragement that we get from others really do matter. I decided to become a teacher. While I was teaching, I used to do summer programs. And I was doing a cool science program, and we were doing DNA and fingerprinting, and we were just investigating anything that we could investigate. And the director, she liked what she saw. And that next year, she said, "Why don't you come out and take over our science department?" Because we have like the lowest scores in the state. And in 2 years, they had the highest scores in the state. From there, I got recognized for a national honor for being the Science, Math, Technology Teacher of the Year for 2013. That opened some doors. I'm here today. I even got to work for Bill Gates, talk to Melinda Gates, journey the world. I've probably worked with 138 different schools, coached 2,000 teachers in that time. But my favorite thing to do in the whole entire world is to teach. That is my favorite thing. So that's my introduction. Expectations today. Do you know how to infer? Use context clues? Anyone? Okay. How do you infer?
You look back at the text.
Okay. All right. So when we infer, we go beyond the text. And so what we're going to do today is students will be able to infer the relationships of words and phrases to predict the central idea of the text. So you're going to be like investigators. I'm going to give you, each one of you, a card. And I'm going to play a song. And when that song is being played, you're going to move around the room and you're going to take your card and you're going to ask, okay, how does my card relate to your card? And you're just going to kind of mingle like if you were to go to a tea party. Because when you first go to a tea party, the very first thing you do is you kind of just walk around and introduce yourself to each other and you talk and, talk about the weather. However, you're talking about the cards. So the goal is to see how your card relates to other students' cards in the classroom. After we do that for about, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, depending on how long my favorite song is, then you'll come back together as a group. And I think the groups that we have right now are fine. And you have a piece of paper and a pencil, which is even better. You're going to make a prediction about what you're about ready to read about. You're coming back to that central idea. What do you think is going to be the central idea of the text you're about ready to read? And we call this a prediction. And it's a pretty strong strategy. After we do our prediction, I'll give you the article. As you read through, you're going to start seeing where these words start popping up. And you're going to start saying, oh, I was right. Or you might say, oh, wow, I was totally wrong. But it's kind of fun now because as you look at the text, you have some background knowledge. It's not going into it totally cold. And then after that, within your group, you'll write another summary of what the central idea of the article was. How were my directions? Were they pretty good? Thumbs ups? All right. I guess I'll go ahead and pass out the cards. So once you get your card, just think about what you think your card means, okay? You definitely have, haven't you? All right. So you have a card. Think about what you think your card means. And then as soon as you hear the music, what I want you to do is just get up, move around, and share your card with as many people as you can and say, okay, you know what? My card is sentiments. And your card is focused on lobbying. I don't know. I'm thinking that because of certain sentiments or feelings that you have might be the reason why we're now lobbying. And after you have that quick conversation, you move on to someone else. And you're trying to look at how your card relates to other cards within the classroom. Sometimes those connections will be really easy to find. Other times, you're going to have to do some critical thinking. But you guys are pretty awesome at thinking, right? Boy, my jokes are just flat today.
Yeah, y'all can do anything.
All right.
I told y'all. I mean,
Any song requests?
just think of him as a better looking version of Coach Hammond. Oh, interact.
All right, let me get something sciencey. Why am I thinking? Maybe social studies. All right, here's one of my favorite songs of all time. You might have heard it before. Are you ready? As soon as the song starts, you gotta move around. All right, that's time. Return to your seats. I'm just curious, did any of you have like a really good connection between words you want to share that you thought was pretty awesome? What were the two words?
United amendments,
Okay, why do you think those two connect?
because amendments can get denied.
Okay. All right. Anyone knows how a amendment gets denied? I think the word's out there somewhere. Does anyone have a word that starts with R? Let that be a word that I didn't pass out. I had a couple cards left over. Did you have it? No. I don't know if I have it up here. No, I don't see it. Okay. You have it? Ah, what's that word? Ratification. So when an amendment gets denied, it's because it didn't get what? Ratified by the states. Does that make sense? So yeah, there's a connection. All right, so what I want you to do next, anyone else that want to share? Because I like sharing. I love hearing your thoughts, how words connected. Boy, this is a quiet class. Let's see. What kind of connections did you make?
There's one with amendment.
Okay. So how does that connect with your word?
I'm not sure.
Declaration? Okay. What are some words over here? Imprisoned women. Did you make any connections with anyone? Okay. All right. So what I want you to do now is looking at your words within your groups and the conversations you had, I want you to make a prediction about what you're about ready to read, okay? Make a prediction about what you're about ready to read. Now, I only need it on one paper, okay? So just pick one person to be your writer, okay? And then I'll go ahead and set the timer for one song, okay? At the end of the song, we'll share our predictions. So each group will share their prediction of what you think you're about ready to read about. Can everyone do it? I believe in you. All right, go ahead and begin. Let me find a good song.
Saying what this means.
A right convention is where people come together to discuss rights. So someone probably doesn't have rights. So depending on the clues that you're trying to make a prediction. So your sentiments are like, yeah, they're like your emotions. Like I have certain sentiments about teachers, right? That I have some respect for them. I have some considerations, but if they're not doing something right, I'm going to say they're not doing something right. Does that make sense? So it's like your sentiments are like the good things, even though we have some grievances, which are the bad things. So just think about what it is. All right, you have the grievances under the law. So what do you think it's about?
12 resolutions under the law, maybe? I don't know.
Okay. There's no right or wrong. Just predict what article am I about ready to give you. What is it about? Okay, this group doing good. So what do you think it is? Okay, amendments. All right. Which amendment? Okay, what do you think you're about ready to read about?
Does it have to be history related?
Yes. Okay, so what do you think the article's about?
Merge the individual state constitutions with each other.
Okay. All right. That's a good prediction. So what do you think the article's about?
For quiz, we feel like he's fixing to read about like the history of women and colored people and the rights and amendments and all that. And then for mom, I feel like I'm fixing to read about women and work.
Okay. All right.
How did you see that?
Okay. Now, we're going to share out some predictions. If you like their ideas and you want to add it to your own prediction, that's great. But we definitely need to predict about what we're about ready to read about. Prediction is such a strong strategy. You know, and to be honest, there is no right or wrong. It's just what you believe the article's about, using the clues. Okay? The only thing that is not good is if you don't have a prediction. Okay? So try to get something down on the paper. Let's go ahead and we'll start out with, this group. So what's your prediction? What do you think the article's about? Do you want me to read it for you? What I want to read about the 9th Amendment. So they believe it's going to be about the 9th Amendment. That's a good prediction. Excellent job. This group, what do you feel the article is going to be about? Okay, something about the amendments. You're thinking the 9th or the 2nd? All right. This group, what do you think it's about?
Merge the individual state constitutions with each other.
Okay, so you're thinking there's going to be some type of merge. Okay, I like that. This group, what do you think it's going to be about?
We think it's going to be about the equal rights.
Equal rights. Okay, that's a pretty good prediction. Equal rights. Equal rights for who? All right. This group, what do you feel it's going to be about?
Probably about imprisoned woman in Colorado. Maybe
Possibly
imprisoned.
about women's rights.
Okay, so you're going with women's rights, and someone was in prison in Colorado, right? All right. So you think, okay, I like that. As you read the article, hopefully you catch what Colorado means. All right, I like that. Next group.
How men worked in woods and how like an immigrants got denied and women got denied for voting and all this and that.
Oh, wow. She sounds pretty sophisticated. I don't know. Sounds pretty good. So you thinking women got denied rights?
Some of the part.
Okay. I like that. All right. Give me something. Anything.
It could be something about the Whites Convention and the sentiments like together. I'm not sure about the declaration.
Okay. All right. Good prediction. I like that. And our last group, save the best for last. You had all these clues. What do you think this article's about?
About the first 12 amendments.
Okay, about the first 12 amendments. All right, so now that we have made a prediction, you have some words. As you read this article, I want you to try to find how your word was used, okay? So read through, look at the clues, and then once you're done on your paper, tell me what the article is about, using evidence from the article itself. Can we do that? All right, so you ready to see? Does anyone want my annotations? Oh, how I marked up the article. Okay. The article is Teach a Girl to Lead. It is the timeline of how women obtained their rights. And to be honest, first place women got to vote was where? Excellent. So once you get the article, I'll set the timer for about 10, 15 minutes. Go ahead and read it. Find out how your words were used, and then write a summary about what the article was about. You're going to figure out what amendment it was. All right, go ahead and begin. Unless you want me to read aloud. I could read some of it. I love to read. Oh, you want me to read? No, go ahead, read.